Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Perfect volume. On your chairs should be a little form. Some of them got their heads chopped off due to the American paper size versus Japanese. This is the Japanese piece of paper, which has room at the top. If you really wanted one with the title on it, we do have some other ones at the front. If you couldn't care less, it actually says at the top, factory-wide optimization. That's what the purpose of my presentation is going to be today. But if you do want one with the title on for some reason, you want to copy it yourself, of course you can get that. We've got a few down the front. Otherwise, the content is perfect. All the main information is right there. It's just the title is missing. Well, good morning, everyone. My name's Richard McCormack. I'm responsible for marketing here at Fujitsu in the Americas. Even though I have a British accent, of course, I'm actually responsible for the American marketing. Kind of fun, I guess, being a Brit in America, working for a Japanese company, talking to Americans, but that's fine. It makes it interesting. We're all a good global company. Just make sure I'm not bashing my mic here. So as I said, I'm here to hopefully inform you today and entertain you a little. I'm not alone, of course, in my journey on this presentation. I do have some friends here at the front of the room to help me out in the presentation. This beautiful beast here actually is not a fully formed cow. The man in the shop told me it was merely a calf, sir. We do not have large cows, we only have calves. So this is a calf doll. It will be presented to the person who either asks the best questions, gives it the most interesting name, or otherwise amuses me. If no one does any of those things, it will merely go back to the booth and be given to some young child who comes to the booth and looks happy during the rest of the day. So if one of you has a young child, think of a good question to ask at any time during the session, and probably you will earn this beautiful cow, which was purchased just yesterday on North Michigan Avenue to help me with certain parts of the demonstration that I will do today. But you will learn more about this cow and how it connects to the outside world as we move forward. I have other friends here on the table as well in front of me, but you can't see them, so I won't show them yet to avoid, let's say, giving away the story as we go through. But it's going to be interesting. It's a real use case, a real live use case, rather than a theory. Let me just find my on button. Of course, I didn't bother to practice with a clicker. Here we go, nice and simple. Excellent. So we are going to talk today about the Internet of Things market itself, what's going on there, our approach to the Internet of Things market, and then most specifically, and taking up the bulk of the time in this presentation, the proof of concept. Actually, it's gone beyond proof of concept these days. The proof of concept we've done in the Akusai plant factory. I'll give you more details of that in a minute, and other elements of Akusai that we've worked on. I've got a full overview of what's going on in that area, all powered these days by Microsoft Azure. We've made extensive work of ASA, of Azure Stream Analytics, Power BI, and other Azure technologies. So you'll see how we've used those both on the slides. I've got a demonstration I'm going to show on a cute little laptop here, and also I've got some video of people using Power BI and actually live in the factory, some real workers using it, and some of the tools and concepts that we've put together. So we're going to go through those three main things, hopefully in less than 60 minutes, and get you all out of here to your next session. So let's talk a little bit about the IoT market. We are for sure these days in what we call, what most people are referring to as a hyper-connected world. People, things, information, processes, all being connected to networks. And of course, when I speak to my kids about IoT, they think of their cell phones, of course. They think of things that are close to them and near to them, but not everything in the world of the Internet of Things, of course, is related to human beings. There are many devices out there that are nothing to do with human beings, such as the devices connected to my friend here. He, she, or it, depending, because no one's given it a name yet, has the capability to be connected to the internet. If any of you were in the keynote, was the keynote yesterday morning or Monday morning? One of the keynotes earlier, didn't quite catch what day it was, it doesn't matter. One of the keynotes earlier, I think Satya went through what he called the connected cow. Does a cow really need to take 10,000 steps? I'll talk a little bit about that as we come on, but it's obvious to many of us now that most of the things in the Internet of Things will not be human-related. The sensors and connections and devices will be connected to other elements, other things. In this case, a cow, in many, many cases, and in some examples you'll see in just a minute when we go into the factory itself, most of the things on the Internet of Things in that particular case are sensors connected to devices actually within the factory. So most of the devices, I think, I saw a report just the other day, 75 or 80% of the Internet of Things sensors and devices will be not human-related. They'll be connected to non-human-related devices around the world. That's going to allow us to find out what's going on within the networks, of course, hopefully find a way of creating new value by harnessing all that information coming from those sensors, and then if we can, roll out applications and roll out solutions that actually can increase some value in the world. And yes, there's going to be a lot of these devices. 10 billion or so now on the mobile internet that we're all very familiar with, and then a 5-fold increase number of users and number of devices connected to the Internet of Things in just a few short years. We've had this 50 billion number now banging around in the industry, for the last couple of years, a year or so. No one's guessed it's going to jump up again. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we make new estimates within the next few years, increasing that 50 billion number of devices. But having that many devices out there puts big stress on the network, of course, puts big stress on the infrastructure, and then even more importantly for us in the software and hardware business, means the quantity of data coming in needs to be processed with new mechanisms, and that's what you're going to see from this proof of concept, how we were able to harness Microsoft Azure technology to actually take advantage of the fact that there was a lot of sensors in the factory, that there's a lot of things going on in the factory, and we humans could not necessarily understand how to tie those different pieces of sensor data together, how to correlate the information coming from what was going on. That's exactly what we were doing with ASA, with Azure Stream Analytics, and with Power BI to do that machine learning and the correlation. That's what I'm going to show you just a little bit later on. So into that world comes Fujitsu. I don't know how familiar many of you are with what we're doing. We're a Japanese headquartered organization with offices, of course, all over the world. The best part of $50 billion US dollars worth of revenue, so a large company, no matter how you count it. A lot of people, bottom left-hand corner, 160-odd thousand people. No, I do not know all of them. We have at least 3 sitting over there supporting me. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Fujitsu. So we've got a few of the 162,000 sitting over there. But I think the most interesting part of this chart, kind of in the middle on the right, R&D expenditure. We spend a high percentage of our sales revenue, 4.6%, it shows here actually on the chart, in R&D. That allows us to do a huge amount of research, a huge amount of, let's call it, experimentation into new things, and that's how you might think, oh, I thought Fujitsu just made little PCs and scanners and stuff like that. I didn't know they did anything like cow pedometers. Why? Seriously? A cow pedometer? Now, at this point in the demonstration, I should get out the cow pedometer and actually show you how it would connect to the foot of the cow, only the cow pedometer is still in the hands of the chairman of Microsoft in his keynote presentation. I have an acknowledgement of apology over there from the man responsible for getting the cow pedometer over here, but basically, it looks a little bit like a Fitbit, but only built for a cow. So it's a big, thick one. If you actually want to physically see the cow pedometer, you can go to the Fujitsu stand and ask Mr. Hamada right over there, let me see that cow pedometer, and he will tell you the story of how he couldn't quite get it here on time. But he'll show you a picture of the cow pedometer with no problem whatsoever. It connects to the leg of the cow, and we'll talk about why it will do that in just a little while. But you may think of us as being responsible, of course, for things like laptops, but no, we're actually spending some of our R&D on other devices as well, some connected to humans in our healthcare practice, other connected to animals, in this particular case, in the animal husbandry area. But the key thing here, large amount of R&D money being spent, allowing us to get out there and stretch our muscles a little bit and then work in parts of the world that perhaps you wouldn't expect us to. And the goal of all of this, built around Fujitsu's vision for what we call a human-centric intelligent society. Let's try and find ways of using information communications and technology, using IT, as we more commonly know it here in North America, to build not only a safer world, a more prosperous world, and a more sustainable world for people. That's the company vision, by the way. It's not just a simple story of those Fujitsu guys have got a vision to earn more money. Our vision's around a safer, prosperous, and more sustainable world. No mention of stockholders in there, very interestingly. It's kind of fun to work for a company where the focus is on building better solutions for people as opposed to just making a lot of money. That is not written there in their vision statement. We've been moving through this journey towards human-centric innovation for a number of years now, as you can see on the chart. Certainly, some of the first efforts around empowering individual people, building enterprises together, of course, and creating value in the public sector, and now moving on where we're starting to shape different technologies together and build a digital ecosystem. Digitalize non-digital functions is also a huge effort within the company. Finding processes, finding functions, finding solutions that people have got that have not been digitalized yet, if that's a word. Are we allowed to use the word digitalized? Does that even exist? It's kind of converted from non-digital to digital. We're going to digitalize things and then build them into a new solution that really is very focused around this human-centric intelligent society. But that process of moving from non-digital to digital, from non-connected to connected, that's what we think the biggest change is going to be as we move through this journey and then try and capture that value and release new solutions and new applications into the outside world. So we see a view a little bit like this on this chart here. On the left-hand side, changes in the environment, changes in business, changes in technology. Many of us read the newspapers or the internet on our phones these days, and we all see these changes coming in. We see that coming into a world where innovation is happening on the social side of things, of course, and on the business side. That's the top and bottom if you look at this chart. And then right in the middle are the different geographical locations. We've got the systems and devices, machines and sensors all then hooked up into that environment. And that loop, that big swing of an arrow around the outside shows how those different elements drive a cycle then to deliver value to users. And sure, we've got sales and profit down the bottom of the chart. That's a key part of every company's business, of course, to actually produce solutions that create actual profit for people. And that then ends up with a jointly created innovation around a customer's core business. That's what we're looking to try and do. Not just build solutions from a headquarter ivory tower point of view, but get out there with customers, get out there to existing businesses, look to digitalize those businesses and work with the customers in proof of concept or proof of business to try and release and drive new opportunities and new businesses out there into the outside world. That's what we believe human-centric IoT is all about. To do this, we've got to establish a full ecosystem, a global ecosystem of IoT platforms. That's exactly what we're doing with the various cloud offerings that we've already got. Rather than just building horizontal and generic clouds for people to hook up their IoT systems to, we've really started to focus on vertical solutions and a vertical approach. This one I'm going to show you in a little while around Akasai is in the agriculture area for farmers. People who look after the real versions of my good friend standing here on the stage with me, but create those vertical solutions using our technology and our know-how in the industry, our ability to innovate with things like the pedometer for the cow, build joint proof of business, joint proof of concept with those customers, and then look to provide that full stack, that full end-to-end stack from the very bottom to the very top of the solution, using our various products and services, and in that way build this technology cloud, this IoT technology ecosystem, if you will, around that both business and social innovation. And in that way actually release something into the industry that many, many people can take advantage of. And that's what we feel we've done already with this first iteration around agriculture. So from a business point of view, jointly creating the different business models. They're going to get customers to come in and engage with us, generating that ecosystem around open systems and open strategy and the core competences we've got. That's what it's all about. And you can see right here on this chart, kind of in the middle piece under IoT platform, providing test beds for people to actually be able to do this with. That's what we did in Akamai in the agricultural cloud, provide that test bed capability where we've got the full stack of offerings from the customer's business process and business solutions right through the applications that perhaps the customer or partners have provided in gray on this chart, the software stack and the IoT platform itself that we at Fujitsu have provided, and then understanding that much of the equipment in the outside world, the smart devices and wearables, the other sensors, they could be Fujitsu technology. Yes, we created the pedometer for the cow, but our business is not trying to mass produce sensor technology for sure. I think there was a little article by someone the other day talking about the drop in cost of sensor technology from tens of cents, 75 cents, 80 cents where we are right now, down to 20 cents, 15 cents per piece of sensor technology just in the next few years, driving it down to the point where pretty much anything can have sensor technology connected to it. And we at Fujitsu have done a lot of innovation in that sensor area. Yes, we're making jokes around what's going on with the cow pedometer, but we've done some other sensor technology work as well. A nice example, because we're all probably staying, most of us who are not Chicago-based are staying in hotels. All of us have that little sign in the hotel talking about how many towels are being used by the hotel, and if you stick a sticker on the outside of the door, my hotel said, they'll even donate $5 to charity to avoid washing those towels. The laundry system for washing towels is huge business. Well, many of the hotels doing laundry, it costs them a lot of money to wash those towels as well. So we developed actually RFID and sensor technology to go onto those towels in the hotel, go onto uniforms of workers perhaps in the hotel, so that when those towels and when those uniforms go into a laundry system, they can be put into the laundry and washed together and then sorted automatically at the other end. Today in the laundry industry, if you've got the white hotels from the Westin in North Michigan, the white hotels from the Doubletree, the white towels from all the different, well, they have to do continuous washing of separate towels to allow the systems to allow the towels to go back to the right hotel. By actually putting these washable RFID tags on the different towels or perhaps on the uniforms of staff members, you're actually able to put those towels and those uniforms into a combined industrial washing machine, of course, and then sort it by scanning at the end of it. We developed and built those tags. We didn't particularly expect to be in the business of producing washable tags. That was not necessarily what Fujitsu's all about, but we still are. No one else has stepped in to do that. We're selling large amounts of these things now. The business unit has been very successful here in America and around the world with washable tags out there. So there's a nice example of somewhere on this chart, can't see where it is, other kinds of sensors and other kinds of technology out there. In this case, washable tags going on uniforms and towels. So we think our edge is all around deploying products and technologies throughout IoT. If you think of 4 stacks on the left-hand side, 4 layers, the applications, the cloud itself, a critical part of the technology. I'll show you Azure in just a minute. The network itself, of course, that we go through, and then endpoints in the devices, such as the pedometer for my friend here, washable tags, and other such examples, all down at the bottom. But the real, let's say, technology in this is the management and monitoring of all this on the right-hand side. Management of the system, security management for all those different layers, controlling the resources and the data there. That's probably where the biggest technology value add is within Fujitsu, is on that management side of things. I'll dig more into this in some of the slides in a little while, but I will just say at any point during the time you're still here, we've got a number of experts. Some of them are sitting just over there who are on the booth on 116. Please come down and see us there and talk to them about exactly what's going on what we're doing in this different area. They'll be happy to talk to you about that. In fact, they have nothing else to do while they're here at the show other than talk to you about this technology, so they'll be overjoyed to be able to do it. So before I jump into the next session, I've got a few other things on the table here in front of me before we start talking about this proof of concept. I do actually have a bag of lettuce. You will see why I have a bag of lettuce in my hand in just a little while. When we go through the video, you'll understand more about what it's all about. It's real. This is an unopened bag. A number of us have opened the bags to see what it actually tastes like, and I'm happy to say it tasted like lettuce. I don't know whether I was disappointed or happy, really, but I'm giving away the story. You'll see the story about the lettuce in a minute, but it's right here for you to have a look at later on as well. I've also got the control device. I've just disconnected it from its little keyboard here. You just unplug it. It doesn't need to be plugged in. In the video you're going to see in a little while, you'll see the factory users using devices like this. This one happens to be one of our Fujitsu touch screens, so the factory user, when they're using the device, can simply go in and find out what's going on within the different applications, go and monitor the different elements of what's happening to find out what's going on within the factory. You'll see them using it in a minute, and then I'll do a bit more of a deep dive into this and what the interface is all about in just a few slides' time. But you'll see them using this device. So I've got the little test application running here. Again, if you want to do an even deeper dive, go and see the guys on the booth later on, and they'll show you exactly what's happening. And I'll come back to this in a minute. If I just slot him in. He's beeping at me. Hang on 1 second. Yes. I don't care that the temperature's wrong. This isn't actually physically connected to the factory, so don't worry. I'm not killing lettuce by accidentally pressing the wrong button. He has no internet connection whatsoever, so there's nothing I can do that will hurt the poor little factory. So, Akusai, what's it all about? If you remember a few minutes ago, we talked about that stack of different IoT solutions and the IoT ecosystem and how we wanted to build IoT ecosystems around verticals. Here's an example of one. It's a one-stop shop for food and agriculture. Supports actually an entire variety of different businesses. Let's just go through them. On the top, sitting this way, on the top left-hand corner, greenhouse and horticulture. That's your traditional crops in the greenhouse, like tomatoes. Bottom left-hand corner, open field cultivation, such as lettuces, perhaps, that you may find. Top right-hand corner, animal husbandry. This is an animal. So that's what they're doing right there. And then bottom right-hand corner, high-value crops. Crops that are high value. Here we've got a picture of what look like oranges, maybe. I don't know, something that's orange on it. Anyway, a more interesting example for me was rice production, high-value rice production for use in sake. The very famous and interesting drink you often get if you go to any Japanese restaurants or go and visit Japan. We've actually done an entire proof of concept and real operation around sake production, where production of the rice crop itself is not only difficult to do, but needs a lot of control to get the rice of a certain style and value to be able to produce the high-end sake products that they wanted to do, and we hooked that up case to the Akusai cloud. So what does it do? Basically, bottom left-hand corner, collect all the environmental data. Yes, you could put people in the field who know a lot about how to produce all these different things, but those people are not only expensive, they're also getting older, of course, and perhaps some of them are passing away, not leaving their legacy of knowledge to the younger folk. Perhaps the younger folk in the world are not that interested about learning how to go and be a rice farmer or an apple farmer, and therefore some of that knowledge and some of that capability is being lost. We decided we would help that by collecting all the data around a farm, by collecting data around the agriculture business and trying to capture what these farmers were doing. Store and analyze then all that sensing data, and you'll see as we go through the proof of concept, this is really where Azure kicked in. And then, of course, look to optimize those operations. Again, that's where Azure helped us with the correlation and the working on these different activities. So that's what Akusai is all about. The animal husbandry side, Microsoft talked about that in the keynote a little while ago. It really is all about producing more of these guys. This is a calf, and the animal husbandry side is looking to produce more calves. If you're in and saw the keynote, you'll see the little demonstration where they said, it turns out that to be able to improve, let's say, the birth rate of cows, you've got to be able to take care of the female cows more efficiently. And the way to do that is to work out when the female cow, pun coming, is in the mood. Okay, it worked. I practiced that last night and thought I better announce it in case someone actually thinks, really, Richard, is that what happens? Yes, it is. So how do you work out when the female cow is ready? It turns out they start to walk. They walk a lot. They walk around. And so if you're a farmer with many, many acres and many, many thousands of cows, you can't just be sitting there looking around. Which one's, that one's moving, get her. You need an automated way of doing it. Hence, the cow pedometer, which goes on the feet of the female cow. As they start to move around, the system, the information about where they're moving comes back into farm headquarters, let's call it. I don't actually know what they call it. It must be something like the farm headquarters. And there's the farmer's son probably on his iPhone hooking away. Yes, Dad, cow number 7's on the move. So then they can get out there and do whatever they need to do to cause the female cow to become pregnant. I won't go into that part of the presentation. They did that with Microsoft. Unnecessary. Suffice to say, it turns out in the industry, if you were a farmer, you would also know that depending on when the female cow becomes pregnant, you have some percentage control over whether it is a male cow, assuming this is a male, I don't know what it is, a male cow or a female cow. Depending upon when the female cow's inseminated, that changes that percentage chance. So it's critical for the farmer not only to look at the pedometer and find out when the female cow is moving, but also to be able to take action at the appropriate time to try and control the sex of the cow itself. That's what's going on with the cow pedometer. Nothing to do with Fitbits, nothing to do with making the cows happy and making sure they walk around, nothing to do with 10,000 steps. That's all great fun, but in fact it just turns out to be all to do with producing more of this little guy and getting more small cows so that, well, we all know what we do, unfortunately, with cows. So we need more of them to produce the hungry masses of people flooding into Chicago who all want their burgers. So that's what's going on there. But we're not going to focus on animal husbandry here. No. I'm a vegetarian. We're going to focus on lettuce, far more interesting and dynamic part of the business. Far more fun. So what on earth is Fujitsu, an ICT company, a computer company, doing with lettuce? And I'm not going to spend any time at all on this. I am going to jump to my good friend, if the slide moves swiftly on. Let's see if it will do it. There we go. I'm going to show you a little video of the lettuce factory in action, and then I'm going to talk about it afterwards. Hopefully that will set the scene nicely. I'm going to ignore the clicker, and I'm going to use the mouse. Here we go. Yes. Volume Maestro.
We live in a hyper-connected world. People and things are linked together, sharing information all the time. IT companies must be highly adaptive and innovative to drive breakthrough transformation. Fujitsu took its semiconductor factory and converted it into a plant-growing factory.
We had a semiconductor factory that was closed due to reduced production, and we wanted to put it to good use again, so we changed our product from semiconductor chips to lettuce. But the concepts of quality management, production management, and efficiency remain the same.
Fujitsu is addressing an increasing demand from Japanese customers for higher quality, more nutritious produce that maintains freshness significantly longer and is still reasonably priced.
In the past, Fujitsu developed various solutions for different clients, but we had a hard time interacting with the data.
Leveraging the Fujitsu Eco-Management Dashboard solution alongside Agile, we were able to deliver real-time visualization of the growing process and sophisticated analytics to improve the entire production.
With Microsoft Windows as our base, we use Power BI, machine learning, Steam Analytics, and Event Hubs, all running on Windows tablets. Our goal is to optimize factories in this industry and many others. Quality, cost, lead time, speed, environment, and safety are all significant factors to achieving this optimization.
With Windows tablets, we don't need to stay in the office to validate and analyze data. This is really important because it decreases the time and effort required for engineering. People can share their work immediately, and the data is updated in real time.
The integration of the eco-management dashboard with Windows and leading technology from Microsoft is very significant for our business.
To us, innovation is solving agricultural problems while also changing the perception of the industry.
With Microsoft Windows, we can now achieve the goals that seemed impossible in the past.
Together with Microsoft, we are on the leading edge, combining our technologies to leverage the Internet of Things and people to help realize business and social innovations in this hyper-connected world.
So I did wonder if I should come onto the stage wearing a white suit and blue boots, just like they did in there. But I thought that was going a little bit too far, So you saw them using this device in the factory, or something like, not this particular one, it was a white one, but it doesn't matter, in the factory. Sorry, let me just click away from this. No, don't play again. There we go. Perfect. This is like a little mock-up of one of the devices they use, but it works, I think, well. Not that you can particularly read it, but here I can see a temperature sensor, obviously. Humidity within the factory itself makes sense. CO2 emission levels, that was interesting for producing lettuce. Conductance. So I actually go and look up what on earth is conductance doing in the lettuce factory. And it turns out here it says 20.1 ds per m. Anyone here in chemistry know what ds per m would be in conductance? The cow is on the line here for the first person who's a chemist. No one. I didn't know either, I'm afraid to say. Decisiemens per meter. So who would have guessed that the salinity of the broth being used to produce the lettuce would be measured in the so-called decisiemens per meter? And then you've got the pH level of the broth itself, in terms of pH, and then the temperature of the broth. What's going on with this broth, you might ask? Well, basically, the lettuce farm, you saw those white racks there, that lettuce is being produced hydroponically. So they're feeding the lettuce this particular broth, and then monitoring all these different parameters. When you see the demonstration in a little while, you'll see all of the actual numbers of the parameters, the values being tested and stuff like that. They're all grayed out on the screen because this is their intellectual property of how to grow this stuff in the particular way, so they're not going to let you see it. The net of all of this that did not come out very well in the video is we're not just doing this from a freshness point of view. This particular bag of lettuce, how old is this now? Like 4 weeks old. It's old. Still extremely fresh. In fact, Wolfgang here promised me that he tested one 6 weeks old just to prove. He said it was delicious after 6 weeks. Did you ever try it after 1 week, Wolfgang? You've only tried the 6 weeks old stuff. You've done the 1 week old as well. So exactly the same after all this time. So you may think, well, that's nice, fresh lettuce in a bag, that's reasonable. That was not the point of this. The point of the lettuce production in this case was, and the point of controlling the lettuce here, was actually around controlling the amount of potassium in the lettuce. Why potassium? So if any of you are suffering from if any of you are suffering from kidney issues, you would know, if you are a kidney problem sufferer, that the kidney, one of the most things it does for you is reduce potassium in the food you eat. So it takes care of the potassium, reduces it. High potassium levels in your body are very bad for you. So one of the ways of controlling this when you're under kidney issues is to, of course, to avoid eating foods that have high potassium. Okay, nice and simple. Do all foods have potassium? Turns out, yes, they do. Some of them are particularly high potassium, like the banana often says on the outside, has a lot of potassium in there. Well, if you don't want high potassium foods, you can just skip bananas. Okay, maybe not a big problem. Do we care about bananas? No. Another way of dealing with it, perhaps, is to boil the vegetables. Very good idea. Boiling vegetables reduces the potassium level. Excellent plan. Carrots, just like my mum did at home. Potatoes, boil the death out of those things. And nice, soft boiled potatoes and carrots. Yum, yum. That's what we used to eat in Europe all the time. It's perfect for us. Unfortunately, if you're desperate for your crisp lettuce, have you ever tried boiling lettuce? Don't even try. Doesn't work very well. So clearly, if you're a potassium sufferer, and I'm joking here, if anyone, I apologize, if anyone has kidney issues and I'm making fun of you wanting lettuce, I can imagine if you're not actually allowed some crisp salad for a long period of time, it would be kind of, God, why can't I have something like that? You can. We've now produced low potassium lettuce, I think 3 times lower than traditional lettuce in terms of potassium count, something like that. I read in the report considerably lower. So you're now able to go and take low potassium lettuce, stick it in your delicious low potassium burger, I would say, and away you go with deliciousness. On the back of the packet, most of the information's in Japanese, but you can see, maybe some of you at the front of the audience, there is a size L. Obviously, this is only for the Japanese market. I have some here in size M and S as well. I said, L, M, and S? We're in America. We don't need size L. We need big lettuce. We want XL and XXL. Well, still only available in Japan right now. Although you can, of course, if you know someone in our Fujitsu organization who can hand carry illegally the lettuce through the customs and then hand it to you here, that's good. The Food and Drug Administration are unaware of the fact that this lettuce is here. In fact, when I made a similar presentation last week at Build, the technology conference, I actually had an empty bag of lettuce I had to show everyone because we weren't allowed to show the lettuce. But fortunately, Mr. Hamada took the risk, the great risk, his own personal risk, and bought this lettuce. It wasn't very risky, and bought this lettuce through the customs so that they could actually get it here. And we won't open it in case of offending the US Food and Drug Administration, but there you go. There's the lettuce. Low potassium lettuce. And I'll talk about what else they're going to do in just a minute. So we started off with the first clean room environment, the first semiconductor manufacturing. You saw the guys in the white suits. That's literally what it looks like in the plant factory in Fukushima. Mass production of clean lettuce was underway. And then as we moved through the process, we began to realize that it wasn't actually that obvious to us or to the farmers what the relationship was between all these different variables that you can see here. And this is just a brief overview of some of them. The amount of actual sensors in the factory, I think, was enormous compared to just the few being showed here on this screen. So what could we do? Who could we work with to actually try and make better sense of what was going on? Microsoft and the Azure Stream Analytics platform. Let's take advantage of the correlation functions within Azure. Let's take advantage of some of the machine learning. And let's see if we can't go on to a second innovation, which is underway right now, to improve what we're doing with the data, improve the product quality, and improve productivity of that lettuce, of course, out there. And I don't think we're excelling here as in Excel. I think we're making things better in terms of that version of the word Excel. So what's going to go on in the future? Not just lettuce. Let's try and do low potassium other vegetables. Ignore Richard's comments about the fact that only people with kidney issues can have this. Let's just make it tasty and healthy. So Wolfgang himself can also have the delicious lettuce if he can. Optimize that. The factory itself is actually in the Tohoku. It's like the northern region of Japan where the earthquake and the tsunami hit. So that's what that's referring to there, contributing to the recovery of that region by putting production into that area of Japan, which was, of course, devastated by the earthquake and the following tsunami, and move to an advanced agriculture environment within that part of Japan. Improve business overall, and then provide a reference model and a showcase, of course, proof of concept, if you will, around what's going on in this environment. And hopefully, you visitors will end up being impressed with delicious Fujitsu lettuce with our name on it and cow pedometers. How does it all work? Basically, 2 levels of operation in the dashboard. The top level, management dashboard, executive level and management level information. I'll show you the dashboard, I think, on the next slide or so. And then the real operational level down below. If you were able to see the PC that was running, one of the buttons that you get to as you move away is starting to control the lighting environment. Turns out that the lighting environment for the lettuce is also very important. How many lights you have on, what the situation is of that, and you can see that as one of the primary data functions down the bottom if you can read the writing. Airflow also was not shown initially on this particular dashboard. So a lot of other pieces of information coming from the production environment that were not shown here. You can see the full thing if you wish. Come to booth 116, speak to the engineers over there. They'll show you how it all works. But a complete visualization of the operational layer and then a management interface as well at the top. So I'm going to jump now to a video of a little demo that we did. If you want to come and see the real thing, the Eco Management Dashboard, and it looks unbelievably good when you see it. We've actually got a big display in the booth. You can actually get your hands on it and move it around and turn it. You'll see the operator doing that on the screen. I thought about trying to do it live. Forget it. I'm not going to try and do it live in front of everyone. They can come to the booth and see the thing. So we videoed someone doing it here. You'll see them doing that, but come to the booth and see them using the interface. In fact, the interface itself, we actually submitted it recently, earlier this year, I think, for some design awards, and actually won. So it won gold medal, won first place from the Institute of Design for its look and feel and visualization. So you're going to see that in 2 clicks of a mouse. Maybe 3 clicks. 1, demo coming alive, 2 clicks, and I think I pressed play. Here we go. So this is the, this has no sound, Sound Maestro. Oh, it has a background. We turn the background down, I'm going to shout over the background. So here's the dashboard itself, and the first thing it does is show the world, and you see the different white and red areas. White means the factory's okay, red means something's up, and then if you come to the booth, you can actually grab hold of this world, and I think you can use 1 hand or 2 hands and zoom around and spin it about and zoom in using the interface on a great big screen. It's actually very, very impressive. But in the real world, of course, you'd start off at the Earth or regional level and say, well, what's going on in the world? Let's zoom into a particular country. Here's the country of Japan. For those of you who are good at geography, you can recognize that. And here's something happening at the plant level in Chiba. And so you press on the little Chiba button, it zooms right into the factory. That Japanese word there says, my goodness, something's gone wrong. And so that allows you to whip straight into the production line and actually see which part of the production line has got that thing going wrong. And here the interface has dived right into the equipment level, showing you exactly which piece of the equipment has failed. I'm going to press pause. Ooh, good, before it goes on to the next piece. So that interface is live and up and running. Come and see it in the booth, dive in, actually use the thing. I was clicking away quite happily. The engineers there will be very happy to show you the interface. It got a design award, picking up all its information, of course, from Azure. But let's look at then what we can do with the information at a more simple level, let's say within Power View or within Power BI. Some of the information, yes, I'm going on, is in Japanese. But for those of you who are Power BI or Power View users yourselves, you'll recognize the interface. It looks exactly the same as the English language one as well. And here the operator is actually choosing the different sample types within the production of the lettuce for a time period, bottom left-hand corner, 2014-06, so that's June of last year through to December just gone. They're looking at what's happened in terms of quality and then these different thresholds. And you'll see that blurring on the screen. That is not an error on the slide. The engineers actually gone and rubbed out what the actual values are there because they didn't want to give away their intellectual property. So basically, they're looking here at what's going on in a post-planting environment, i.e. after the plants have actually been deployed, and looking at these various parameters and comparing them and choosing a specific date range. And then you'll see them pop over to the right, and you can recognize some of the English language over there. And now we're going to look at these 3 different environment variables and look at what's going on with the different values within the different parts of the environment. Select a few of them over a certain period of time. You'll see the operator go to the right, choose day, choose yes, play that particular day. If you're familiar with the English language version, it's in exactly the same place on the screen. And then do a drop down and say, okay, let me select these values over this period of time in this particular environment variable. And then we'll go back and we'll actually layer the data with a couple of other values and then play the correlation over that time period to try and see what the correlation is between these different variables, and then use the Power View play function, which I think is what he's just done right there, to actually, there we go, press play, to actually play that correlation over a particular time period. And if you're familiar with Power View and Power BI, that's exactly how you would take a whole ton of different environment variables and compare them. I'm not actually sure if we have, does anyone here from the booth know if we have Power View and Power BI running in the booth as part of the demonstration? Do we actually have that? I can't see anyone who would know. Doesn't matter. Come, pretend I said they did and come and really irritate the booth staff by saying, Richard said, well, I could see Power BI running here, and they can all say, oh, no, we haven't got that. We couldn't make that work. You can just blame me because I'm just, I'm allowed to make things up because I'm on the stage. So I'm sure we've got Power BI and Power View in the booth. Come and see it. So we're an ICT company. Yeah? We're not an agriculture company. So we went and sat with the designers, sat with the farmer, if you will. Probably would call him a farmer, the lettuce grower, the guy who actually knows what he's doing, sat with them and went through a whole set of parameters with them and said, let's break up the innovation into different modes, bust it down into what the business is, how we can get new insights, flexibility. You can see the list down on the left-hand side. Give a determination of where we are now, like the as-is state for the reference model, and then where do we want to go, and then look at what technology we want to try and use to drive that forward. So we went down this whole list. Let's look at the lettuce itself. We want the lettuce right now, healthy and tasty. Take Wolfgang's word for it. Tastes just like lettuce. Delicious. And what should we do in the future? Oh, let's be really innovative. Let's make it even healthier and even tastier. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Can't we think about that? Cope with the American market. Let's make it bigger. So we get more big lettuce out there, et cetera, et cetera. So what can we actually do to try and move the information forward? And then what technologies are we going to use in the future, such as Azure, such as event hubs, such as stream analytics, to actually let us understand this? This is what brought us onto the realization that we should actually start to use some of these new tools to help us with the production in the factory. So in the tool itself, in the visualization tool itself, we've got those multiple layers. The global visualization for the exec, so they can see everything that's going on within the whole ecosystem. The regional visualization view, so you can go and look at the different cities. And then, of course, where the real work comes down actually in the factory itself, where operations can actually really understand what's going on. Left-hand side, you've got the field full of sensors, the Internet of Things coming into our systems. Excuse that word systems, a little bit small to read. It says system there just above IoT. And so we've got the whole range of sensors down the bottom, coming through the different silos just up above in terms of what's going on. And then, of course, moving that from a factory-wide basis into the dashboard itself and into the Azure system. So we knew we had a number of challenges to deal with. Number one, very high volume of data that changed all the time. We needed to learn how to optimize these different conditions for the various products we were producing, lettuce in this one particular case, but of course other vegetables we talked about as well. And we wanted to be able to visualize that information. So we sat down with Microsoft and looked at what different services we could use from them. And you can see that kind of in the blue little area here, a set of real-time processing, the easy analytics, machine learning, and the scale-out capabilities that we all got from within Azure. I was on stage last week with one of the ASA guys, with Clement Sapirski. He was talking a lot about the scale-out side in Azure. Throw us as much data as you like. As long as the coding is done properly, we can scale with Azure very easily for that. And he showed some really nice examples of scale-out that I knew could apply very easily to what we were doing here. So that was a nice, good example of that, I thought. So here's what the total landscape looks like. Left-hand side, the IoT platform itself on-premise in the factory in Fukushima, in this particular case, in the Aizu, I think pronounced that correctly, factory. The information coming through event hubs, of course, and stream analytics through the machine learning piece into our dashboard that we've built. And then, of course, you can also build up your own teaming concepts as well, using Office 365 and other Office capabilities, of course, on the far right-hand side of the picture as well. It doesn't all have to be in your own dashboard. The whole point of this is to be able to extract the information into other sharing modes as well. You see the route down the bottom via Power BI and machine learning directly into a team sharing site under Office 365. That's in full operation in the factory, not just the link straight through to our analytics dashboard, but actually access to other tools with different flexibilities, such as Office 365. The learning of optimized conditions is key, of course. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this two-step model, machine learning and then analysis around Power BI and doing the trending and the correlation. That's what hopefully you saw the operator do just recently in that little video that I showed, was able to actually do that trending and correlation for data that perhaps wasn't that obvious. So that's what's going on here. That's a key thing for us to be able to learn and work on. We're using the self-service analytics as well for rapid analysis. Part of Power BI, this is key for us to understand this, looking at those different KPIs and parameters and understanding the correlation of what's happening in that area. So with modeling and machine learning, this really allows us to do the prediction, to do some grouping from a multidimensional point of view, and then look for those different correlated variables. And if any of you have actually delved into the actual guts of what's going on within Azure and within Power BI, you'll see the new programming concepts that Microsoft has released around time frames. So all of us are familiar, of course, of receiving information from the outside world in just a constant stream, and I'm going to get this piece of data, it's going to come in and finish, and during that time I can use my machine learning to, I think the example they gave was count the number of red cars. So they looked at a stream of data coming in, counting different red cars. Well, that's not necessarily a good way of doing things if the data, such as from the lettuce factory, is coming in all the time. You can't just say things like, count the number of times that the broth temperature dipped below 19 degrees. Well, for what time period are you going to do that? You have to bring in the concept of time. So what Azure is able to do is actually allow you from a programming concept to say, I would like to look at that data, but over this period of time, and then roll that period of time forward multiple times within the programming language. I'm sure there's demonstrations of that elsewhere going on within the session, but it was very clear to me when we were using sensor data to use that time grouping within Azure allowed us then to do this prediction and group those different aspects together. It was very key to be able to say, let's look at what's going on within the factory over these different time periods and then try and correlate that information together. Then, of course, bring it all together in a dashboard, share the information, and allow the engineers to go through their hypothetical analysis. This was a key part of utilization of the dashboards themselves and of the team sharing. So the benefits of doing this, right now we've got scattered data, a heavy workload, we're not sharing the information, it's hard to evaluate and hard to see what we want, and we're now being able to use Azure to fix many of those issues, consolidate that data and allow it to be more automatically updated, change the way the graphs are working to make them quicker and easier to use, share the results anytime with anyone as opposed to not being able to share them before, and of course then draw and graph the information in a way that's really interesting to people as opposed to not being able to do it. These are key advantages for us to be able to do that. So at the end of the proof of concept, and for sure we've gone beyond proof of concept now, you can actually go into the company store if you're a Fujitsu employee and buy the lettuce. You may wonder what's the price of the lettuce. I think the guy, Mr. Mori, at the beginning of the video said we want to make it cost competitive. It is a bit more expensive than normal lettuce. I think I looked at the yen price and it was 2 times more expensive. That was all. So maybe not, I think 2 times or maybe 3 times more expensive per bag from regular lettuce. Maybe that's not a huge barrier if you're unable to have lettuce at all because of your kidney issue. Maybe that's not such a huge problem. So certainly not produced down at the level of standard produce, but not 10 times more. It's just a few factor more expensive to be able to produce this, especially if you're in critical need of it for some reason, then maybe not completely out of the way. But certainly we've gone beyond the proof of business and proof of concept now. But we learned a lot of things during this time period. I just want to go through a few of them right now. It was clear to us that we could use the sensor networks and use big data to enable innovation. But it's difficult to do. The complexity of that architecture and the need to go end-to-end was a big challenge for us. And we on our own at Fujitsu could not do that. We needed to work with Microsoft, of course, from a technology innovation point of view, and even more importantly, we need to work with the factory itself, with the farm itself, to understand what was going on there. Equally important early factors for us, careful selection of that IoT ecosystem. Now, we're an IT company, so we feel we're able to do that very well. If you're in the process of doing that now, please come and see us at the booth. Please come ask us about what we did there, and then make sure that co-innovation is key. Again, we pride ourselves on being able to work from a partnership point of view, both with end users and with other vendors, to be able to bring the solution forward. But if you want to learn how we did that, please come to the booth or call me afterwards. Happy to go through that in more detail. An obvious one, perhaps, the end users we work with, the guys in the factory, the guys you saw in the clean room, they were not actually that interested in the version of Power BI that we were using. They were not actually interested in where we were in Windows 10. They were more actually interested in the apps themselves that enabled their business growth. They wanted to see the application. They wanted to see, I've slipped away from the, let me go back to the temperature. There we go. They wanted to actually be able to understand the information in a simple way, in a meaningful way that was good for them in terms of the different temperatures and CO2 emissions, for example. Their focus was really on the app side of things, not the back-end technology, not Azure, not the servers, not the cloud, but the application itself being used. That was a key finding. So you've got to enable them to be able to do that. Agility in terms of development, deployment, and business process integration. The users wanted new versions very, very quickly, and so we're able to do that by using the cloud and using platform as a service functionality, of course, to be able to get those apps written and co-created to the users very, very quickly, and then do it together. We did some co-innovation between ourselves, with Microsoft, and with the customer in Fukushima, of course, to be able to do this proof of business and accelerate that innovation up the learning curve. They were the key learnings we made from the whole proof of concept. If you want to know more, come see us at booth 116. We have also a very cool, nothing to do with IoT, nothing to do with lettuce, and nothing to do with cows demonstration there. You come up to us, grab a little voucher. Any of you that want to do this, we have a laser engraving machine in the booth. Bring your favorite device. Actually, I think the only thing we allow to go in the laser engraving machine is the pen. No, you cannot stick your hand in and ask it to tattoo your girlfriend's name on the top or anything like that. Apparently, the guy said it would work, but it doesn't. So he's not allowed to do that from a health and safety point of view. You can come and grab your pen. Mitzi right here, where is she? I can't even see her. She's probably around somewhere. Oh, there we go. They've got some little cards. Grab a voucher, come along to the booth, get one of the pens, and then you can put your name. It says your name, but how do they know whether your name is Donald Duck or not? You can give them any name you like, and they will just engrave it right there on that pen. In fact, if you watch very closely, you can see the little engraving machine do that. It's a fun thing to do. Remember your day with Fujitsu and then have your name on your pen from then on. Please take advantage of that. Come and see us in the booth at 116. And I will say thank you very much for listening to me. I think we're finishing just on the top of the hour. And if you've enjoyed this session, please use the QR code to give me some feedback. If you haven't enjoyed it, don't bother to give any feedback at all. Thank you very much, everyone.